So, while I intend to post this publicly on YouTube, probably, we'll see. We'll see what my brain comes up with to say. I'm hoping to aim this more so towards my membership with vivabarneslaw.locals.com, the Duran.locals.com, and watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And I'm hoping to be able to, as in a previous video I posted to the Duran, use something that I have some expertise in. I hesitate to call it expertise, but just let me feel good about myself. As in a past video, I tried to convey at least some of my opinions based on my engineering experience and my experience working in the construction industry with that engineering experience. And now I would like to use something that I think I consider myself far more an expert on, although I didn't have to get a degree. I didn't go to military college or anything, but I've studied military history and history in general with a heavy emphasis on military. There's a reason I wanted to go and join the Marine Corps, which that is my military experience. But I studied military history my entire life. History Channel was my favorite channel before it became all UFOs and Nazi gold. Not that those aren't fun to watch occasionally, but some of my favorite things to watch ever, like two of my favorite movies I've ever watched. One is Gladiator. We'll say three. Two, The Patriot. And three, the Ken Burns documentary of the Civil War, which is a great documentary. I think it's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix right now. I think the last time I watched it was on Netflix. But so I've studied this stuff my entire life, and I want to use that to apply to what's going on right now, because what concerns me is, for one, both from an engineering and military perspective, I'm looking at what the powers that be are doing, and it seems like they have not built in any redundancy to their plans. They haven't. If you're going to make something to hold a certain item, you need it to be 110% strong enough to hold said item. Or if it's really important, it needs to be 200% strong enough to hold said item. Similarly, in military affairs, if you want to attack some city, or if you want to punch through some sector in the line, you have your attacking force, you have the diversionary force, you have the reserve forces, you have this supply block, that supply block, this supply chain connecting to three other logistical dumps to the rear. And then you have plans in place in case these reserves aren't enough to plug the gap if something goes wrong. Then you can move these reserves from this location to the front over here. You have redundancy built in case, just as everyone knows, your plan doesn't survive first contact with the enemy, because by definition, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. If you enact a plan and it goes perfectly well, you should be suspicious, because you're probably about to get surrounded or bombed to high hell. Similarly, commanders throughout much of history have been suspicious when their enemy is making a decision that is so obviously stupid. They couldn't possibly have done that, right? So let's say I have 20,000 men, heavily armored, at the top of a hill, and a 5,000 man force comes charging up the hill, lightly armored, poorly trained, and I'm thinking there has to be something that's given them this confidence. There has to be, okay, send out the scouts, check in every direction. What are our spies saying? Has anyone found any info? There's no way this is the whole plan. So I compare that to our current world. What is the actual plan? Because they have what they've told us they want, and obviously the layperson can see that the things they're doing don't line up with what they say they're trying to accomplish. So if they're really that stupid, then we're dealing with literally mentally handicapped people, like mentally handicapped people. But everybody can kind of tell, oh, okay, you're just full of shit. So move on to what seems fairly obvious, but they won't admit to. And even then, I mean, the joke now is, oh, well, a joke I've said before is, oh, well, how's that whole removing Putin from power thing going? As all of the countries that want to remove Putin from power in Russia are all having their leaders just booted. So, good job. I guess you're really that dumb. Or, and this is another thing that I actually, that is tied into my concern with this, not directly, but specifically with, say, Justin Trudeau. Justin Trudeau has non-stop had an endless, relentless march towards authoritarianism. And with just no qualms, a smile on his, I guess thankfully not blackface face, and there's just not a care in the world. And this relates to also the Tamara Lich bail hearing that I heard from Viva yesterday. I can't remember if it was recorded yesterday, but he just looks like a man who's like, yeah, everything will be fine. I'm just going to keep going. And so you look at that level of confidence and you think, you see what's going on around you, right? Is there some, I mean, hell, this comes down to like in the Crusades, in general, people will do ungodly, courageous things when they, have God on their side, oddly enough. Because they say, look, we can't possibly lose. So we can charge forward without a care in the world. So what is it? Is Justin Trudeau really that stupid? And I'm not talking about, is he really stupid? Or is he really very, very, very stupid? I'm talking about that stupid. Because this is a point where like small children can point out. If you try to explain it to them, that's where the small kid would say, but that doesn't make sense. And you go, yeah, you're right. What the Canadian Prime Minister is currently doing doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make strategic sense unless there's something that's giving them this confidence to keep pushing. And I've said in the past, maybe it's just that they understand their fragile position. They understand they're on the ropes. And if they don't win quickly, then if they don't take as much territory as they can quickly and try to, in the military context, essentially just hit fast and hard and knock your enemy out of the war. And knock the freedom out of their hearts. And knock the guns out of their hands, because they can't have any of that shit. Everybody was talking shit about America. All these stupid gun nuts. But come get my gun, Justin. Actually, don't do that. My government would probably help you. We're not doing so hot here either, just maybe a little bit better. But that's my concern, is why is it that all these people have so much confidence when they seem to be doing things that are so stupid and the results are coming in? It's not like they can't see what's happening. Literally the opposite of what they seem to be trying to do is happening at all times. But in the background, if Vanguard and BlackRock are buying up stock in every company in the world, and they're very supportive of the environmental and social governance score, are they really trying to push to just enact the liberal world order, or is this an understanding that, we're going to hit a rough patch here, and then on the other side, that's when we rebuild. And that's actually I'll try to add kind of, I guess, a mission statement or a mission request, is I think we're headed towards entering, I'll say at this point, I believe, I'm just some guy, but I believe the worst economic situation since the Great Depression. Possibly, I don't know how bad it was firsthand, but possibly worse, because everything about the current system is everything is out of balance. And if that happens, as they do with every other time that happens, they say, oh, wait, we have to either continue with building the world order that we want or come up with new ideas. So what will be the UN was the evolution of the League of Nations. What will be the evolution of the environmental social governance score? So, to anyone who watches this, or anyone you speak to, please, everyone, keep your eye on these motherfuckers. They cannot be allowed to be the ones to rebuild the world from what it's about to be trying to rebuild from. And for once, I'm actually going to not ramble anymore, and stop it here. So if anyone sees this, I'm planning on, like I said, posting this publicly and to the watchingthewatchers.locals.com and the Duran.locals.com and vivabarneslaw.locals.com, which I actually just joined yesterday. Glad to be here. But if anyone has any input, any thoughts, critiques, a lot of this is to kind of put my own thoughts into words, honestly work on speaking, and like I said, any critique, greatly appreciated. And thank you very much. Y'all take care. Stay safe.